D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. The gang is back together. We hope you are having a wonderful start to your Wednesday. I'm just thrilled to see Derek Mason. Derek Mason finally able to escape his home.
Yes.
We're so happy you're here. We were so worried about you, but you're here, and we're happy.
I'm here. I'm happy. I'm somewhere where it's nice and warm. Bunch of dogs, but nice and warm. And you have your array of dogs. You have your little dogs, your big dogs, your small dog, your medium dogs, your gargantuan dogs. I actually saw a dog. Beautiful dog, though. I actually saw a dog laying down. It was a bull mastiff. His head was so big. I'm thinking, where's that horse stand? And hope y'all got adjoining rooms because that thing needs its own space. That's how big. But the dogs are great. They're great. But it's just, I'm sure the people that work there are overwhelmed right now. Not just just imagine going into a hotel, let's say like a new family. You got baby number 1 that's about 8 months. Baby number 2 that's about 2 years old. Baby number 3 that's about 5, and 2 dogs.
It's a lot.
It's a whole bunch.
It's a lot. Willie Donick is in Newark, New Jersey, where the Predators will take on the Devils tomorrow. Hi, Willie. How are you?
Hello, guys. Good to talk to you.
Hey, Willie.
How is it back home?
Sunny. Things are melting.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It's going to melt even more.
Okay.
Yes.
It's going to melt even more.
I still think
Willie.
I have power at my house.
Derek also doesn't have power at his house,
Yeah,
but at
I know.
least he was able to escape. So for those who haven't been listening to the show the past couple of days, and if you haven't been, I mean, come on, guys. But I understand there's a lot going on in our world right now. Derek lives on a dead end, and there were downed power lines that were blocking his way out of his neighborhood. So even if he wanted to go anywhere, he couldn't. But fortunately, the power company came out, removed the wires, and Derek was able to escape his cold home and get to a hotel.
Yeah, I was able to get to a hotel, and thankfully, because nobody in the neighborhood has power. I spoke with a good friend of mine who works for NES, and he explained a lot of these technical things to me. But a short story is the substation that's behind, the Y. It's probably going to be one of the last people or the last things that get fixed because it's not a high priority. And, they just got to repair the whole thing. So hopefully my power will be back on pretty soon here. But if not, then I'm just blessed that I got a place to stay. A hotel. I got friends who've, you said that you can come and stay with me or whatnot. So I'm good.
Well, we're glad you're back because we have a lot to discuss today. We have 3 guests on the program today, starting with Ted Nguyen, senior NFL writer for The Athletic. He specializes in film analysis and X's and O's. He will join us at 3:40 to break down what the Titans are getting in Brian Daboll as their new offensive coordinator. Tyler Tanner, Vanderbilt guard, will join us at 4:20, one day after the Commodores, much to Willie's delight, mollywopped the Kentucky Wildcats 80-55.
That's what I'm talking about.
At Memorial Gym. So we'll talk to Tyler Tanner
Without
at
a couple of
4:20.
key guys.
Yes, indeed. No Duke Miles, no Frankie Collins, no problem for the Commodores. They kicked the crap out of Kentucky, and a lot of people around here are not upset about that, except for Connor Newt. And at 5 o'clock,
put me on that list. I was not upset about that. And just a quick shout out to the guys coming off the bench who really, really played well.
Chandler
last night
Bing
for the hometown.
Yeah.
Shout out,
Chandler
Bing.
was awesome. Yeah, that guy's going to be really good. I hope he sticks around. For a freshman, that guy is a beast, and he's only going to get better. He's starting to hit his free throws a little bit better. He's a guy that can really D up. He can get fouled. He hasn't made the free throws. He actually hit a 3 yesterday, which was good. Like he's got a high ceiling. I really like him. And then a couple other guys that hadn't been playing much knew they had to play good minutes last night, and they really rallied. So I was really happy to see that.
So Ted Nguyen at 3:40, Tyler Tanner at 4:20, Jonathan Hutton, our friend from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow, will join us as he always does at 5 o'clock. But Derek, you've been
Mhm.
cooped up at home.
Yes.
It's cold.
Yes.
You want to unleash a scorching hot take. And let's start with the story that has everybody up in arms in the NFL. As first reported yesterday by ESPN, Bill Belichick, the 8-time Super Bowl winning coach, is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. As ESPN notes, quote, in voting earlier this month, Belichick fell short of the 40 out of 50 votes needed for induction to the Pro Football Hall of Fame during his first year of eligibility. And you want to come right out of the gates with your thoughts on this. So it's been a few days since we've heard from you. Take it away.
I want to read everybody something right quick. Straight from Wikipedia. So you can go and find it yourself, actually. It says, I'm just going to start here. The NFL required the Patriots to turn over any and all notes, tapes related to taping of opponents' defensive signals. The Patriots refused to allow the videotapes to leave their athletic facility. So Goodell ordered the league officials went to the Patriots facility and smashed the tapes. I'm going to read a little bit further. Because the tapes were immediately smashed and never thoroughly, keyword, thoroughly, where am I at? I misplaced. Oh, examined by league officials, the size, let me repeat that again, the size and scope of Spygate remains largely, here's a key word right here, largely unknown.
So you believe that Bill Belichick is getting what's coming to him?
You damn right. and listen, no, listen. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, because he does. But just because they're not going to vote him in this year, everybody's in the uproar. I don't want these players and everybody to forget how mad we were that season when we found out, or when all this stuff came out, how pissed off we were as players. Now everybody's like, oh, it's Bill Belichick. Oh, he's won a total of 8 Super Bowls, 6 as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator. Absolutely right. But we have this funny thing about us as sports people, I think, that we are so quickly to dismiss like the wrong that people did because of their greatness. And we think that they don't need to atone for those things that they did. They can wash their hands with it. As long as I'm winning games, I'm good. And then once somebody defies them and say, you know what? Not this time. Just not this year. Next year, absolutely you're in. But not this year. You're going to wait. Everybody want to, their underwear getting tight. Everybody wants to go crazy.
So should Tom Brady also have to wait a year?
Yes, Tom should have to. I would not be mad if Tom had to wait a year either.
Okay,
because
just making sure.
People have it bad. People have short memories. Let's just say that on certain things. People are willing to get on television or on radio to make sure that they don't sort of get sideways with that particular person or their team, that they are trying to put themselves in a pretzel, or they'll go totally one side. I'm like, we all were arguing that year when we found out. We were pissed. Now all of a sudden it's, oh man, it's Bill Belichick. He's the greatest of all time. Yes, he is. But you know what? He's a cheater too. We can't acknowledge and recognize both. Not to say he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, because he does, and he will get in. But for all these righteous, like, oh my goodness, how can you leave Bill Belichick? Because his ass cheated. That's why. And now he has to atone for it. Why do you think they fined him $500,000? I think they fined him. No, they fined the team $500,000, and I think they fined him $250,000, or the other way around, because he did something wrong. But you know what? The NFL, they were like, we're done with it. This may be so bad that we can't put it out there. So you know what we're gonna do? Smash them. Like, how the hell you smashing tapes and then tell everybody you smashing them?
Willie, your thoughts?
Wow.
I think Derek is right on, and I think he's hit on it. It's human nature. So everything, I think I agree with everything you said, Derek. We shouldn't act crazy thinking that this could come up when you have blemishes like that were huge stories at the time. And those are only the two that came to investigation. Like, they prided themselves on finding loopholes, or, depending on how you look at the game, different ways around rules, or even flat out breaking the rules, and stuff that we don't even know about that they probably got away with if they had that mentality, which they did. But let's just go on the two scandals that they were basically found guilty of. And so it's a small price to pay, but it is an acknowledgement that, yeah, we remember that you did those things. Now, what I would like to see is I would like to see the voters that voted no stand by their vote and say, yeah, this is why I didn't vote for Bill Belichick. He's obviously a Hall of Famer, but I wanted to put the brakes on because I wanted to acknowledge that Spygate and Deflategate happened.
And that's not something that happened in his personal life. Like, I could see if something happened in his personal life. It's okay. That was all. I get it. It was bad. I understand that part, but that has nothing to do with football. But this has everything to do with the game and the integrity of the game. And all of a sudden now, again, I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and he will be in the Hall of Fame. But we cannot forget that he or his team was caught cheating the system. And when you get caught cheating the system, you got to pay, damn it, don't you? That's how and if Tom has to wait a year, Tom has to wait a year. Is he a first ballot in my mind, per se, for playing? Yes. But if a voter says, hey, I'm not voting Tom in because of, I'm like, okay, I get it. I have no argument with that. I'm looking at it, but he does deserve to be in. And that a girl may say, yes, but not this year. What is wrong? I would love to sit one of these GMs down, or one of these people that are so off hinge that this is such an atrocity. I want to sit and have a conversation with those people and ask them, am I wrong?
Give Stephen A. Smith a call. He said today on First Take that people should boycott the Pro Football.
Man, he's just talking out of his ass.
I know. I know.
See, that stuff
but
there.
But why? Here's what I don't understand, guys. Why are the people that felt this way being shielded, basically, or hiding?
Yeah,
it's pretty obvious what they did. That's the only explanation to why you would vote no for Bill Belichick. And I don't see what's wrong with just saying, yeah, this is why I voted the way I did. And you've got this, well, I think I voted, like Bill Polian is being really wishy-washy about this.
Indeed.
Bill Polian clearly was in the middle of this somewhere, right? Why doesn't he just come out? He's been very outspoken. He's always available to talk to anybody who wants to talk to him. He's a really interesting guy. Just say it. Just say it. Stand by it.
The original.
I think he cheated.
The original reporting from ESPN, from Don Van Natta Jr. and Seth Wickersham, said that Spygate and Deflategate did come up in deliberations. They also reported that Bill Polian told some voters he believed Belichick should, quote unquote, wait a year before induction as penance for Spygate. They later reached Polian for an interview, and he denied telling fellow voters that Belichick should serve a 1-year penance for Spygate. He said he heard his fellow voters, quote unquote, float that idea, but insisted he didn't agree or disagree with the proposal.
Yeah, sure. but he gave a different answer in a different interview. Like that's the other thing that's going on here. He's, he originally said, yeah, I think I voted for him, or you have this whole. The process is also coming to light as well. And Derek, this I'm sure is something you've thought about because you've been a person that's been close, right? That the voters go through this process, and there have been a lot of critiques on how football does it as opposed to other major sports, how they elect people to the Hall of Fame. It's a strange system. There are flaws in it. And of course, with football, We have all the different people. You got coaches, you got players, you got offensive linemen who don't have any stats. You got wide receivers whose stats are very different than quarterback stat. It's a really difficult job, I'm sure, no matter who's on it. But this does expose a flaw in the process as well. But once again, I think what's wrong with just coming out and saying, yeah, I vote, and I didn't vote for Bill Belichick, and here's why. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think people may disagree, but the problem is when all the other voters saying, well, I voted for him, I voted for him. It makes the whole thing look bad when the people don't just step up and say, yeah, I earned the right to vote for the Hall of Fame, and I voted against Bill Belichick.
Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com, and bring in Jason. Jason, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Derek, except I'd take it a step further. If you're caught cheating to such level to where you're having to destroy evidence to try to cover up the depth of the cheating, I'd never vote for him if I was a voter. I mean, same way if I was a voter for the Major League Baseball with all the steroids things. Nope, never get a vote. You robbed, and I guarantee he wouldn't have won as many as he won, but he robbed other players of opposing teams. I mean, I remember sitting in my group of buddies when that big comeback against the Falcons in that Super Bowl. And we just we wasn't sitting there cheering. We were just looking at each other going, man, there's something wrong with this. And I mean, with all the fans out there right now, with all the betting is going on and stuff, and we're just looking around and we're going, what is going on? Well, it was proven with him. So he shouldn't, my opinion, and I'll stand by it, he should never get in. I don't care of his accolades, because to me, they're all tarnished and they all have an asterisk next to them.
Thank you for the call, Jason.
Thank you. Listen, I am not going that far. And some people will. And just like there are some people that says, it's heresy to even think that. My thing is, do I believe he deserved to be in? Yes. Do I think he will eventually get in? Yes. Next year. But is there something wrong with the voters out there? A few of them saying, because it wasn't, there's allegedly it's Polian, but there had to be 10 to 12 other people that voted no. It wasn't just supposedly Polian, because he has to get 80% of the vote. He didn't get 80%. It wasn't like we need a unanimous decision and Polian was the one guy. It wasn't that way. There were 10 other guys.
What we find is that a heavy hitter in there can sway other voters when you're in there. I think that happens every year. And here's another little nuance of the way it works. Mike Sando has been putting this out there because Mike Sando, first of all, that guy's really good at getting the sources, but also he's good at defining what's going on. So 50 voters are voting on 5 guys, but you only pick 3 of the 5. So Belichick was in there with Robert Kraft, ironically. That's crazy, too, like the way those two get along right now. You're both voting for those guys. Plus, you have 3 other guys in there. Roger Craig, Kenny Anderson, who honestly, Kenny Anderson, why is he even in the mix? I love Kenny Anderson. I love watching him play. He got the Bengals to the Super Bowl. I get that. He's not a Hall of Famer. Why is he in there being voted alongside of Bill Belichick? That's wrong. I don't know how he got to that. And then you got L.C. Greenwood, who was on one of the greatest defenses of all time. And could I tell you whether L.C. Greenwood was just as good as Mean Joe Green or Jack Lambert, anybody else in that defense? A lot of those other guys are in. That's a really tough one, right? So you've got 5 very different people in there. You got a coach, you got an owner, you got a running back, a quarterback, and a defensive lineman. And you can only vote for 3 of the 5. So that is also where this gets really weird. So you might say, well, okay, I got votes. I know Belichick's going to get in. Like, let's say D. Mason, Adam, and I are all voting, right? We all have different kind of views on this. We all probably figure, well, Belichick's going to get in there, right? So maybe Adam says, well, you know what? I want to make sure Kenny Anderson gets a couple votes. So I'm going to vote for Anderson, Greenwood, and Craig, and I figure everybody else is going to vote for Belichick. He'll still get in. You see what I'm saying? Like, this could go any number of ways. Maybe Derek's got a different view. Maybe I've got a different view. And so we all vote for 3 different guys, but we all probably deep down say, well, Belichick's going to get in there. So even if I don't vote for him, I'll boost these other guys. and keep them alive. So this is where it gets cloudy for sure. And this is where Polian kind of said, yeah, I think I voted for him. You vote for 3 of the 5. Well, you don't remember? Like, that's a big decision, right?
615-737-1025. Your thoughts on Bill Belichick being snubbed, not a first ballot Hall of Famer. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, the Tennessee Titans have a new offensive coordinator in Brian Daboll. How will he impact Cam Ward's development? We will discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Oh, I really like the fit. Kind of to the points that Shefty and you made. One, I like the fact that Salah has somebody else who's been a head coach, so like there's the ability to be the head coach of the defense in many ways and then head coach of offense. Two, Brian Daboll's track record for the young quarterbacks, Laura, you pointed out, speaks for itself. The big thing for Brian Daboll is continuing to push Cam Ward to slightly calm some of the loose mechanics down and not take away his special talents. If he can find that sweet spot where you're not trying to coach the magic out of him, special out of him, and you could just really get him to be more consistent, then you've got a really, really, really high-end player. If he could do that, I like it.
That was Dan Orlovsky on the Titans hiring of Brian Daboll as offensive coordinator. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. And before we dive in here, I just want to put something out there, if you guys don't mind. As fellow balds, we are full-throated supporters of this new coaching staff. Other shows in this town are wearing bald caps. That is a slap in the face of all actual balds and shaved head enthusiasts.
Wow.
I mean, it was suggested half jokingly that the name of our show should have been Three Bald Dudes. So Robert Saleh, Brian Daboll, other bald Titans coaches, we support you from actual balds. That's my piece.
There's people like bald caps.
Yes.
Wow.
I saw it.
Wow.
I saw it.
Come on.
No, this is all natural on this show, guys.
There's some people out there that are trying to say for the first game of the season, they'll shave their own heads.
Hair is overrated. Am I right, guys?
Amen.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's right.
And I can say that because I ain't got any.
That's exactly right. So we are actual balds on this program. So we fully support the Titans' new bald coaching staff.
Bald was given to us. We didn't want it, but we embrace it. Okay?
Well, I'm a shaved head enthusiast. I still have hair. I just choose to shave it. That's I'm balding with the ing.
But yours is here. Yeah, you may want to keep it low. Let's just say that.
Okay, let's move off of our hairstyles here. Let's talk about Brian Daboll. And we are going to get more into the weeds on Brian Daboll's offensive scheme with Ted Nguyen from The Athletic in the next segment, roughly 10-15 minutes. But Derek, I am incredibly curious about your opinion. How do you like the pairing of Brian Daboll and Cam Ward?
I think that, judging by what he has done, whether it be, at Alabama with Jalen Hurts, and even though Jalen Hurts ended up leaving the next following year, I think Daboll only spent 1 year there, and that was the year with Jalen Hurts, I believe. So whether it was Jalen Hurts or, Josh Allen, because for a while there were many wondering if the Buffalo Bills had made a mistake. And I was one of those people. But in a matter of time, he became an elite quarterback. And a lot of that is because of Brian Daboll and his tutelage there with Buffalo. And then you put him with the Giants and Daniel Jones, same thing. There were people out there saying this ain't the guy. And he transformed Daniel Jones, at least for that year, to a playoff quarterback. And listen, don't take anything for Saquon Barkley because he was the offense, but Daniels did what he needed to do, and he improved under the tutelage of Brian Daboll. Same thing with Jackson Dart. You saw Jackson Dart. That's why people are very excited about Jackson Dart, because they see his development under Brian Daboll, and they believe they have their franchise quarterback. The one thing that I'm going to push back on just a tad bit, I believe he's the perfect hire, because we talked about this earlier in the year with Cameron running the football. And we even talked about it a little with Cliff Kingsbury and what they did with the Commanders and how Jaden Daniels got hurt because of that and getting banged up. You can look at what they did with Lamar Jackson running him, and eventually he's getting banged up now. Because of what Jackson Dart went through last season, Jackson Dart was a reckless runner. I don't think Cam is that type of runner, because we talked about it during the season when people wanted Cam to run. It was like, you don't want him to beat Jackson Dart, because Jackson Dart has been in the protocol 5 times. So you don't want him. I just hope, as good as Daboll is, that isn't, he doesn't put Cam in that situation. That's all. That's the only thing that I'm sort of like, because he's had this track record of working with some unique quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, that's mobile, Jackson Dart, and I'm sure other guys that he's been able to tutelage. They all have that trait of being able to run, develop into really good passers, but they have that ability to run as well. So that's my only concern. But besides that, I think at this time, I think it was the perfect hire.
Willie, Nick Suss of the Tennessean wrote about Brian Daboll, and he made a point that I agree with. It's easy to fall into the Josh Allen trap because of the work Daboll did with Allen and how Daboll spearheaded Allen's development, and he receives a lot of credit for what Josh Allen has become as a quarterback. So I'm looking at some of the other quarterbacks who have worked with Brian Daboll. You mentioned Daniel Jones. Before this season in Indianapolis, which was unfortunately cut short because of injury, Daniel Jones had his best season under Brian Daboll. He threw for more than 3,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, completed 67.2% of his passes. He also had 708 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. Jackson Dart played 7 games, made 7 starts under Brian Daboll this past season, threw for roughly 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, also ran for 317 yards and 7 touchdowns. Over 17 games, Willie, Jackson Dart would have thrown for 3,400 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions based on his averages under Brian Daboll. So, look, we all point to Josh Allen and the tremendous work that Daboll did with Allen. But I think you need to look at other quarterbacks as well, because, I mean, I don't know how many quarterbacks can attain the level of Josh Allen, you know?
Right. And I'm just thinking, too, what are the common characteristics of some of those quarterbacks? And I would even throw Jalen Hurts in the 1 year he was at Alabama.
Well, he was there with Tua as well. He and Tua were there.
And Jalen was the man until the very end, right, where Tua, like, I don't know if I'd even really heard of Tua that much. You know, maybe I knew of him, but then all of a sudden we knew who he was after the game in that championship game. But all of those quarterbacks can really run. And I think, unless there's stuff that we haven't seen, I just don't ever see Cam Ward being that type of runner. But that doesn't mean Daboll can't adjust to the strengths of Cam Ward. And I think that's going to be important. But I think it's scary to put out all these other guys, because Cam Ward is his own guy. He's not quite like those other guys. But what I think Daboll's got going for him, he doesn't enter into the gasoline fire. Cam Ward, having gone through the gasoline fire last year, hopefully is coming out of it. And what I mean by that is, I think they're going to have a chance to put another layer of support around him next year that they didn't have last year. And so Daboll, I think, is in a position to really look good if he can take them to the next couple of steps. It doesn't have to happen overnight, but I think they'll be in a better position to show improvement.
And I think so. And I think this is maybe for him, and the Titans understand this may just be a one-year project, 2 at the most, because if you are bringing him in and you are this high on him, which you should be, again, because of the track record, that if he gets this offense going and they go from, what are they, 32nd somewhere, they're in the bottom half of the NFL, bottom third of the NFL as far as their ranking on offense. But if you take a team that's the bottom half, the bottom third of total offense, and you get them that midway the first year, that's a big jump. And then, as you know, Willie, it's not that. It's getting from that middle up into that top
right
2 or 3 or 10. If you can get that offense like that in 2 years, then this is essentially, I know it's a 3-year deal, but this is essentially a 2-year deal. Because if this offense improved, Cam developed, he wanted to draft Cam. So if Cam develops, then this is a 2-year project.
615-737-1025. Your thoughts on Brian Daboll as the Titans' new offensive coordinator. Coming up next, Ted Nguyen from The Athletic. He specializes in film analysis, X's and O's breakdowns. He will join us. We'll get into the weeds on Daboll's offensive scheme, what to expect, how it accentuates Cam Ward's strengths, all of those things coming up with Ted Nguyen. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com, and welcome in senior NFL writer for The Athletic, Ted Nguyen. Hi, Ted. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
We're doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. So you specialize in film analysis and X's and O's at The Athletic. So for those who are unfamiliar with Brian Daboll's offensive scheme, can you give us a crash course on what it features and how it could accentuate Cam Ward's strengths?
Yeah, he comes from that New England tree, and I think his offense has obviously has morphed a lot since coaching at New England and all the various stops that he's been at. But obviously, there's a lot more quarterback runs. He's coached guys like Josh Allen. He's coached guys like Jackson Dart. I don't necessarily think that he's going to run Cam Ward a ton with those options, but I think one of the best things that he's done in his career was really kind of establish a sort of learning base for Josh Allen into how to play the quarterback position, how to take over the game at the line of scrimmage, teaching him protections, how to read out blitzes, change those protections, and just making his life easier with kind of option routes and throwing the ball quicker, getting the ball out of his hands instead of making him hold the ball. So I think all those things really apply to Cam Ward. And somebody asked me on Twitter, I think in December, who I would like to coach Cam Ward next year. And my answer was Daboll, just because of that. I think Ward is a guy that wants to absorb all that information. I think he's a guy that wants to play the game from the line of scrimmage and be able to check into certain things and have those option routes and just be able to play the game from that level. So I could see Daboll doing that for Ward, and I think it's going to be great for his development.
You led me into my second question there, Ted. I would love to know how you would evaluate Cam Ward's scrambling ability, because he did seem to do it more after the Titans moved on from Brian Callahan. The three of us on our show have all talked about wanting to see him add more of that element to his game. So based on what you have seen, how would you assess Ward's scrambling ability?
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely can do it. He's athletic enough to get away from pass rushers. And he could outrun some guys, but I don't think he's at that level of a Jaden Daniels or a Jackson Dart or Josh Allen, where you want to do it a ton. It should definitely always be a part of his game, extending plays and gaining yards. But I just don't see him as a guy that's going to be running quarterback bash 4 or 5 times a game. I think it's just going to be, he can keep it on his own read. Let's say it's a 3rd and 1 or something like that, and he's surprised keeps the ball and get punished in defense for a 10-yard gain, or he scrambles out and creates yards through scrambles. I just don't think he to me is a guy that you want to run on option plays 10 times a game, if that makes sense.
We'll talk with Ted Nguyen, senior NFL writer for The Athletic. Now, Ted, because the quarterbacks that he's coached or tutelage, they're all sort of different in their own ways. And Cam will be sort of the same, different in his own ways. How has he managed to, in those different instances, get those quarterbacks to develop the way they have, even going back to Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think it's just all about that New England system and just putting a lot of weight on the quarterbacks from a mental perspective. And I think, if you're a quarterback that wants to learn and wants to absorb that information and wants to have that control at the line of scrimmage, this is a really fun offense to play in because you learn all those things and those nuances. So I think just creating a kind of a solid baseline for you to learn those things, and then just having the ability to control and audible and to have those different type of options on the outside and options to throw the ball quicker and have those layup types of throws. I think those is really great for young quarterbacks. And I think Ward is the type of quarterback that will absorb it and will really love playing in this type of system.
Now, obviously, we know that this team doesn't have a Malik Neighbors, excuse me. But this team does have some young wide receivers that have shown some promise. How do you think he can incorporate those guys in his offense? Because again, right now, as it seems, they don't, meaning the Titans, don't have that elite, Neighbors type of wide receiver. And how much would the tight ends you think will be involved in all this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the league is trending towards teams that could play multiple tight ends, because the really good teams could run the ball against these lighter defenses. So I think if you do have tight ends that you could use, that should definitely be part of the offense. And there has been times where Daboll has leaned into that sort of under center offense. I think, there is no alpha number one receiver, but I think a good coach can see what these receivers do well and put them in positions to where they could do those things. So, if you have that jump ball guy on the outside, which they do have, then find ways to create one-on-ones where he can do that. But I do think that a receiver a type of receiver that he's always had is a really good, smart slot receiver. And I don't know the Titans roster as good as you guys, but I think that's going to be a type of guy that they really want. I mean, in Buffalo they had I'm blanking on his name right now, but he was a smaller slot receiver. I'm blanking on his name, but I'll probably remember it later. But they've always had these smaller slot receivers that can play in New England. They had one in Buffalo, and they had Wan'Dale Robinson with the Giants. So I think finding that guy that Daboll could trust to run those option routes and Ward could get on the same page on will be pretty big.
Ted Nguyen is with us, and we're all envisioning who that could be. Ted, as we look ahead, that will be interesting to see if they can find that guy. I want to ask you about two different areas, too, that it looks like statistically Daboll used a lot. Number one, we talked a lot about what's the right amount of shotgun to run in this day and age of the NFL, especially with Ward, as opposed to the under center where he didn't do as much of that through his development process, but that enables you to do maybe some better play action. Because when they started running more and better later in the season, his numbers seemed to get better when he had that run game support. So what do you see in terms of what's the right amount of shotgun to run?
Yeah, I think it's always going to be part of his game because he's very comfortable in the shotgun. He likes sitting back there, but all these teams are moving towards having a good under center package. Like, I think the days are gone where you could just stay in shotgun all day. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Chiefs even struggle. They have the best quarterback in the world, but they're just so reliant on staying in the shotgun and passing the ball that it's become much harder with how defense they're built now. They're playing a lot of sub personnel. They're playing a lot of too high. So you have to be able to get under center, compact things, run the ball, and then play action off of it. And even teams that have that spread package for the quarterbacks, the really good ones are able to have an under center package that they run, on early downs, maybe 50% of the time. So I think I don't have the exact number for it, but you have to have a credible under center package to go along with your shotgun spread stuff to be good in this league, just because you're playing into the defense's hands if you stay in shotgun all day, just because they're built to stop it now.
The other one I want to ask you about is the RPO. It appears that Daboll ran a lot of RPOs with Jackson Dart. And RPOs is another thing that Cam Ward seems to be comfortable with. Where do you see the trend right now with RPOs in pro football? And are defenses catching on, or do you think that will continue to be a big weapon that you use a lot?
Yeah, I mean, RPOs will always be a part of football. I think they've definitely trended downward since referees have really put an emphasis on the legal man downfield rules. Like you don't see a ton of downfield RPOs anymore, like those glance route RPOs that the Chiefs used to run a ton. Like you'll see it here and there, but you'll see a lot more bubble screens, now screen type of RPOs where the quarterback just gets the ball out of his hands quickly. But I think that's also, if you could build a strong shotgun running game, then you have those opportunities outside with those bubble screens. So Daboll will definitely install it, and I think you have to have a quarterback that has quick feet and a quick release, and a guy that's able to change his arm angles. And Ward has all of that, so I think they will be a part of the offense for sure.
Where do you think, as you've watched Ward, that the biggest area that Daboll will have to come in and try to improve? Where will he try to get him to the next level to start?
Yeah, I think just holding onto the ball less. I think Ward, one of my favorite things about Ward is his aggression with throwing the ball downfield, but it also could be a weakness when you're just trying to wait and try to create too many downfield opportunities. There's a time and place for it. And I think one of the things he's going to do instantly is create more layup throws for him and teach him a little bit more about the quick game, and finding that slot receiver that can win quickly is going to be huge to get to him to throw the ball quicker. So I think his average time to throw is going to get cut down by a lot. I think that's one of the first things Daboll is going to do.
Ted, by chance, was the Bills slot receiver you were looking for Cole Beasley?
Yes. Cole
Okay.
Beasley.
Awesome.
Cole Beasley.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Our listeners came through in the clutch for us there, Ted. Ted Nguyen, senior NFL writer for The Athletic, has been our guest on D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick. Ted, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it. We would love to have you on the program again another time.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
615-737-1025. Some reaction to our conversation with Ted. One texter says, Cam Ward is smart, and he should take on a little bit of Drake May's game, where he chooses his spots to really burn defenses with his legs when they are playing the coverage. Just get down and don't take the big hits.
Yeah, that's what, I think everybody's, at least mine, or a lot of other people's concern is. And I know people wanted Cam to run more last year. And again, we talked about it a lot during the show, in the past. But my thing was always, listen, you don't want to run him too much. I thought he had the ability to run, but not like some of the guys that we're used to seeing run, but he can find a way to get some yardage. And toward the end of the season, when the coaching changed, it seemed like he started to take advantage of that. And he started to look more like a competent runner, because before it was like either he didn't want to run or he was just, I don't know. It was just something that was blocking him from running. And it was sort of unlocked once Bo Hardegree and McCoy took over. So again, that's my only concern with this is, Cam finding a way to run this type of offense all while not putting himself in harm when having to run.
One listener on our YouTube chat says, the guys he mentioned who run all have major injuries. Dart, several concussions, and Daniels dislocated elbow. No designed runs and get rid of the ball before getting hit. And I know what happened at the end of the season. A rare designed run for Cam Ward in the red zone. He gets hurt. It was a sour note to end his rookie season. But I think, Willie, we all said at the time, we had absolutely zero issue with the call, despite the fact that Cam Ward got hurt.
Right. You have to do it some. You have to be smart about it, and the quarterback has to be smart about it as well. But I do think some teams, because it's so tantalizing and it's so effective, they keep wanting to go to that well. I was just reading a story earlier today where Sean Payton was having his end of the season press conference and talking about Bo Nix and his ankle injuries that have plagued him throughout his career, even well before he got to the NFL, where Sean Payton was saying they knew that eventually his ankle was going to go just because of how it had evolved over time. It was a matter of when, they said it. So it just happened to happen at the wrong time. But to win in the league, you've got to take some risks. You've got to use the strengths of your player. But the thing about Ward is I don't think it's a strength. I don't think he runs very well. So I think it's sort of taken out of the hands of the offensive coordinator or the coach, because it's not a huge strength like it is for some of these other guys.
615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction to our interview with Ted Nguyen from The Athletic. A lot of really interesting information there from Ted on what to expect with Cam Ward now that he will be coached by Brian Daboll. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, I do have a question for Titans fans. It's very, very, very early in the offseason, but I do want to ask Titans fans a question about what's unfolded since the regular season ended. 615-737-1025. Hey, let's give something away, shall we? If you would like a pair of tickets to see the Nashville Hoop Showdown featuring Ohio State and Virginia on Saturday, February 14th at Bridgestone Arena, be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to the Nashville Hoop Showdown, Ohio State versus Virginia, Saturday, February 14th at Bridgestone Arena. Call now, 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Tyler Tanner, Vanderbilt guard, will join us in roughly 20 minutes to talk about the Commodores' blowout win last night against the Kentucky Wildcats. And I also just want to say, all of our fellow balds in the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com, we see you, we support you, we stand in solidarity with our fellow balds and shaved head enthusiasts.
So I'm talking about.
That's right. So when we praise Brian Daboll and Robert Saleh and the other bald coaches on the Titans coaching staff, we are doing it from a sincere place.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to wear bald caps on this show. We are actually bald. Some of us. Again, I shave my head. But
you're bald. You just admit it. You're bald. It doesn't.
I thought
you're not bald adjacent.
Okay, one at a time. One at a time. One at a time.
Hey, Willie, he's acting like he's bald adjacent. No, you're bald, buddy.
No,
you're one of us.
In or you're out.
Yes, exactly.
All right. I'm in the Just for Men club.
There we go. Bald.
Well,
AKA.
Is Just for Men the hair dye?
No, that's the hair restoration, I think.
Oh, I don't.
Oh, no, it may be.
Who knows? Anyway, I don't have to dye my hair because I'm bald.
There
anyway, I do have a question for Willie and Derek and Titans fans as well. I know it is very, 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 very early in the offseason. The draft is still 2.5 months away. Free agency is still, a month and a half away. There's a lot to happen this offseason. But here's the question I want to know from Titans fans right now. It's 615-737-1025. What is your level in confidence in Mike Borgonzi after the hirings of Robert Saleh and Brian Daboll? I've seen the Titans receive a lot of praise for those hirings. And remember, a few weeks ago, the Titans put out a news release saying that Mike Borgonzi is now the general manager in the traditional sense. He's leading the coaching search. He's picking the players, all of those things. And again, we still have to go through free agency. We still have to go through the draft. But Mike Borgonzi hiring Robert Saleh, getting Brian Daboll here, and Daboll did have head coaching interviews. I want to know how y'all are feeling about Borgonzi. Just a vibe check. 615-737-1025. Willie, let me ask you that same question. Again, it's very early, but are you at least encouraged by Mike Borgonzi at the helm after the hirings of Saleh and Daboll?
Yeah, only time will tell, but I do think I'm encouraged. I think the biggest thing that I'm baffled about is why the Bills didn't want Daboll. I feel like that was the obvious guy. And they turned to Joe Brady, who's never been a head coach. That's a really interesting move. I'm guessing it was between those two. But because my thought of everything overreaching is you had Harbaugh and you had the heavy hitters. They sought out the more traditional places like the Giants, right? They went that way. But if you go to the next level, with all the other teams that were looking for a coach and a lot of franchises that have been troubled of late, the Titans seemed to get the guys that were pretty sought after. There was something about the Titans that Saleh and Daboll were drawn to. And I don't think it was just Cam Ward, so I think you got to credit Borgonzi some there.
I think had John Harbaugh entered into the arena, I think Robert Saleh would have been one of the most sought after coaches. But obviously, they parted ways and he became the talk of the town. But I think Saleh had his vision of what, he wanted to walk into. And I think the vision was the same as Borgonzi's. And, he chose to come here. And same with Daboll. The quarterback that he wanted, he ended up not getting him. He ended up getting him, but a year later, by his choice. Now, people could say, well, he didn't get hired as he wanted the head coaching job, and the Titans knew that and understood that. When Buffalo chose to pivot and go to Joe Brady, okay, maybe that was a Josh Allen, hey, I want Joe Brady here as the head coach. So Daboll chose what he thought was the next best option. without being a head coach. That was to be an offensive coordinator for a guy that he wanted to draft first overall. And so when I look at that, and I look at how the Titans, structured everything right before all of this, and at least made it public. Let's just say that. I'm like Willie, wait and see. But based upon the track record of Saleh just as a defensive coordinator and what he was able to do, whether it be with the Jets or San Fran, and how he got those guys to play for him and how now he gets to do it his way. And then Daboll, who has a, reputation of developing quarterbacks and running a really good system. You marry those two together, and it all happens because Borgonzi, if you like the two guys, I think you got to credit that to Borgonzi, because she gave him, meaning Amy, the ability to go out and pick the guy he wanted.
It's going to be hilarious, by the way, if the Titans succeed with Saleh and Daboll, to hear the reaction from New York. If that happens, it's going to be hilarious. But I want to read this post from Jordan Schultz on Brian Daboll. And I acknowledge before I start reading that you know how these things work. There's a lot of spin, right? But there are some interesting notes in here from Jordan Schultz. More on Brian Daboll per multiple sources. Daboll was easily one of the most coveted OC candidates in this cycle. After being fired by the Giants, Daboll connected with GM Mike Borgonzi to express how much he loved Cam Ward and his interest in Tennessee. Daboll and Borgonzi have prior history dating back to 2012. The Titans were well aware of how much Daboll loved Ward. Why? Sidebar, Willie, cover your ears. Sources say the Giants made a massive push last year to trade up to number 1 for Ward, offering the number 3 pick, a 2025 first rounder, and multiple day 2 picks. The Titans declined. Willie, you can uncover your ears now. Titans GM Mike Borgonzi put on a full court press to land Daboll as OC, regardless of who the head coach would be. When Saleh emerged as their head coach choice, Saleh was already on board with Daboll. The Bills head coach job opening threw a wrench at the things, as Daboll understandably had interest there. Borgonzi and Saleh stayed persistent. Once Buffalo went with Joe Brady, Tennessee immediately got Daboll on the plane to finalize the deal. And a year with 18 OC openings, the Titans believe they landed the top candidate of them all. So a lot there, but painting a picture here, Willie, of the Titans courtship of Brian Daboll.
Yeah, it sounds really good. It's a good story. It does make sense. I do think you can deduce, based on what the Giants did a year ago, that there's no question Daboll thinks that Cam Ward could be good, and that's history, right? That's how he felt in the evaluation process. So that's not something that he just did in the last few weeks to say, "Oh yeah, I really like Cam Ward," because he needed a job, right? You could already tell when he had a job, he liked Cam Ward. So that's encouraging that he objectively, I think, believes Cam Ward can be a weapon, and so that's a good thing. And I do think it says a lot about Saleh and Borgonzi that Daboll sought this job out to a large degree when there were a lot of other jobs that he probably could have gotten.
Chuck on our text line says, if Daboll is so good, then why couldn't he get a head coaching job?
Hey, I mean, it happens. Vrabel didn't get a head coaching job when he first got out.
True.
And look at him now. He's
on top of the world.
Exactly. He's coached himself into the Super Bowl. So just because, you are not, immediately employed at that same position the next following year doesn't mean that you don't, that you're a bad coach. Now, time will tell with Daboll as far as his offensive coordinator skills. Some guys sometimes are probably better just coordinators and not head coaches. It happens throughout the league, in all leagues, I'm pretty sure.
Like your boy Mike McDaniel?
Yeah, like Mike McDaniel. It's like, yeah, you are great at this, but when you add this, then it diminishes your greatness in that area. And then you become mediocre and worse, trying to do your job. So maybe this is an opportunity for Daboll to sort of get back into his mojo, develop Cam and have a different perspective, possibly in 2 years that he can take into, I do hope it's another head coaching gig, because if he's getting another head coaching job, what does that say?
And we talked about this yesterday, Willie, because we'll continue.
That was a question, though.
Oh.
You could have answered.
Okay.
That means that Cam is doing well.
Well, I thought it was a
offenses.
rhetorical question.
Well,
Kind
Exactly.
of,
It was a rhetorical
Kind
question.
of, sort of.
And I was going
Yeah.
to say, off of that rhetorical
Yeah.
question, Willie and I talked about this yesterday. That's a tomorrow problem, because we are going to continue to get text messages and calls from you about, well, if Brian Daboll does a great job with Cam Ward, then he's going to leave after 1 year. Well, guess what? That means he did a great job with Cam
That's
Ward.
good.
That's
That's
a good thing. That's a good thing. And by the way, Robert Saleh will finally be introduced as the Titans head coach tomorrow afternoon. I believe the news conference is scheduled for 2:00. So we will have your reaction to that when we come on at 3:00. So Robert Saleh will finally be introduced to all of you tomorrow afternoon. But back to Borgonzi for a moment. Again, it's incredibly early. His first draft class seems promising. I mean, he did draft an all-pro specialist in the 4th round, and Cam Ward also showed some promise. As we talked about with Ted Nguyen, there's a lot for Cam Ward to work on. The Titans hope that Brian Daboll is the coach who can maximize Cam Ward. And we still have to see what happens in free agency. We still have to see what happens in the draft. The Titans have the 4th overall pick in the draft. But I think we've talked about this before, Derek, that Borgonzi, although he is a new general manager in the big chair, he's been in this league a long time. He clearly has the respect of his peers. And again, he gives off the vibe of being the adult in the room, which is a departure from recent Titans GMs and other people in the front office. So again, I would say I'm cautiously optimistic in Mike Borgonzi. I do think that hiring Saleh, bringing in Daboll, I do think that is a feather in his cap this early in the offseason.
Well, you just hope that those years, going through that Kansas City Chiefs, organization and being a part of what Andy Reid has been able to establish there, and, him being a part of it, not the actual GM, but him being assistant, pro scout, football operations, all these things that he sort of went through at Kansas City. You just hope that the things that he learned there and watching a franchise build a, dynasty, so to speak, you hope that those things can apply to this team as well, the Titans, which means who he hires and then who they subsequently hire and how they build this team. So, he has a lot of work to do. It started off pretty good, though. It really has. Look back at last year's draft and what they've been able to produce. Then he goes out and get a sought-after head coach and a sought-after OC. And he has some money to play with. These are all things that are working in the Titans' favor. It's how they handle it moving forward.
One texter said, would you guys happen to know if Borgonzi revamped the scouting department after the draft, similar to what J-Rob did, or did he take more of a Rand Carthon approach and keep it mostly the same? I don't know the answer to that.
I have no clue.
No idea. But again, I am encouraged. I am encouraged. That does not mean I am giving Mike Borgonzi the big old stamp of approval. But I agree with you, Derek, that if John Harbaugh had not entered into the conversation, Saleh was at or near the top of the coaching list. Kevin Stefanski was up there as well. So I think the Titans did a solid job bringing in Robert Saleh, getting Brian Daboll. I like the fact, Willie, that they are going heavy on experience this time around, because that was an issue with the last coaching staff, all of the last coaching staff, right? The first time doing their respective jobs. Brian Callahan, Nick Holtz, Denard Wilson, they went with the complete inexperience. The pendulum has swung in the completely opposite direction. They're going with a lot more experience this time.
I think that's definitely the case, and let's hope that serves them well. but it's just like nobody knew who Vince Lombardi was the first time he got hired by somebody, right? Everybody's an unknown at some point. But I do think that these guys were sought after by more than one team, and they were able. They saw enough in the Titans and said, "Yeah, that's where I want to be." I think that's a good thing.
615-737-1025. What is your level of confidence in Mike Borgonzi following the hirings of Robert Saleh and Brian Daboll? Again, it's very early. The draft is still months away. Free agency isn't really around the corner, but the Titans have their head coach. They've got their offensive coordinator. Your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Vanderbilt guard Tyler Tanner will join the program. The Commodores coming off of a big win last night at Memorial Gym, 80-55 against the Kentucky Wildcats. Tanner had 19 points in the game. We will catch up with him coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingen. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Vanderbilt mollywops Kentucky last night at Memorial Gym, 80-55. And to talk about it with us, let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in Vanderbilt guard Tyler Tanner. 19 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 steals last night against the Wildcats. Tanner, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. So, as I mentioned, big win last night, a big win earlier this week against Mississippi State. So your team has bounced back from its 3-game losing streak by winning those back-to-back blowouts. When you analyzed those 3 consecutive losses, what were the main areas of focus, of concern, and how have you worked to fix those in these past 2 games?
Yeah, we spent a good amount of time reflecting on those losses and trying to learn from the bad things we did and replicate the good things that we did even in those losses. But the main thing that we got back to was just being us and playing the brand of basketball that we had been playing for the 16 games before that. And we're confident that if we play our basketball and we stick together throughout the game, that we can beat anybody.
Tyler, your stock has risen significantly since the start of the season. ESPN.com published a list today of the top 50 players in college basketball, and you are number 17 on that list. And I know that you have bigger goals, team goals, but what has it been like for you to receive that level of recognition?
Yeah, it's a lot of blessings. There's so many blessings that I've gotten this year from my team and from everybody around me. I don't pay a ton of attention to that type of stuff because, like you said, I am more worried about what my team's doing right now and continuing to be successful on the team level. But a lot of blessings. I'm very thankful for the recognition when I do get it.
We'll talk with Tyler Tanner, sophomore guard at Vanderbilt, and a proud Brentwood individual. So I'm sure, they're all proud of you, Tanner. I look at that game, and we talked about that game a lot, the Memphis game, and how physical that game was and how they allowed y'all to play it. What did y'all come out of that game thinking about it and realizing about yourselves?
Yeah, that was a great road test for us. Obviously going into into Memphis and winning is difficult, but like you said, physical game, some good players on that team that got us prepared for how physical the SEC was going to be. But it showed us that we can be a physical team too. We can be that team that punches first. That's a slogan that we go by every game now. So that just gives us confidence to try to be the people who punch the other team.
Now, you guys had a big win last night. Were you surprised at how big the crowd was? Because a good friend of mine went there and went to the game, and he said, man, because I thought it was going to be a light crowd because of the weather, but he said, man, they showed up and they were loud. So how much did you guys feed off that?
Yeah, Memorial Magic is a real thing. I didn't fully expect it to be that packed either. So it was great coming out there during warm-ups and coming out for the game and seeing, all the Vanderbilt fans that were there and even the Kentucky fans. Just having that atmosphere of people cheering and people booing, sometimes just feeding off that energy and that adrenaline and being able to play a good game because of it.
We're talking to Tyler Tanner, point guard for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Big win last night over Kentucky. And Tyler is a guy that played there a long, long time ago. I know that there's no more fun team in America to beat than Kentucky. And I say that as a compliment to Kentucky because they have amazing fans. But beating them is a really good feeling. So congratulations on that W last night. I want to ask you about the mentality you had going in last night without Duke Miles, knowing that you were going to have to run the point for most, if not all, of the night. You're still missing Frankie Collins, and you managed to stay out there, stay efficient, and not get in foul trouble. So what was the mindset?
Yes, sir. I knew it was going to be a task for me without missing Frankie and Duke, because those are two, veteran guys that are really, really good and they help us out in so many ways. But I took that challenge. Obviously, I would rather those two guys be out there with me, but at the end of the day, we had to win that game. And so I took that challenge. I would do anything that game to win, whether it was defense, offense, passing, scoring, whatever it was. And our whole team, all the guys who did play and dress out last night, they stepped up because of that lack of Duke and Frankie. But I think the biggest thing was that we all just stayed together, and whoever is out there for us is going to make it happen.
One thing that everybody's noticed in your game, Tyler, how much you've improved from last year to this year, but in particular, your outside shot. I'm going to guess you've always seen yourself as a really good shooter. But what do you think the key was to knocking those extra shots down from the outside this year as opposed to last year? What'd you work on?
Yeah, honestly, it was just a bunch of reps. I didn't change any of my mechanics or anything in my jump shot. I now just have a good amount more belief in myself. And that comes from my teammates believing in me and telling me, like, you're a great shooter, just believe that, and my coaches. But when you put in so many reps, you don't want to sell yourself short, and you want to believe in yourself. And now that confidence allows me to shoot it at a higher clip and go out there and be confident.
What do you think that you've learned the most from Mark Byington? I enjoy watching how you guys really work the defense. You get matchups. It seems like you're able to create switches and create the best possible matchups to attack. So what do you think you've learned most sort of about the way the game is played since you've been there and playing for Coach Byington?
Yeah, I've learned a lot. Even in just this year alone, obviously as a freshman, I was just soaking up all the information I could. Like, I learned a ton last year, but even just since this season started, I think I've learned a lot from Coach, and just ball screen reads and how to attack those switches. Like you said, like if there's a weaker defender, he'll put a set on the court for us to get somebody the switch that we need, whether it's me and a big or vice versa with a big with a guard on them. But yeah, there's so many things I couldn't name all of them that Coach has taught me. So I'm very thankful.
I first saw you play, Tyler, in the 6th grade. It's one of the reasons I think my son is a baseball player now and not a basketball player. You guys were really good back then. So I know you've been in Nashville for a long time. I'm curious, as you grew up in this area and you watched the Vanderbilt program, what drew you to that program in particular? Because it's always cool when you have a local kid that decides to stay in Nashville and play for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, obviously the SEC is now debatably the best league in the country for college basketball. So that was definitely a big factor in why I chose Vanderbilt, because it was my only high major / SEC offer at the time. And also just it being local, like I get to have so many friends come to my games, so many family members. And that support really helps me because I know I can't do it alone. I always give credit to those people around me. And that support has been very crucial for me.
How crazy has it been the last few days? We've all gone through the same thing with the weather. I know south of town, Derek can tell you, right? He's got his own story. But so what was it like for your family and some of the students, right? Just dealing with this weather the last couple of days.
Yeah, so my parents have had power. Nothing's been too bad for them. My sister, who lives in town, she lost power, so she ended up coming to stay at my parents' house as well. But I mean, I know they enjoyed that, being able to spend time together, kind of just locked down in the house. And then students, we haven't had class all week because people have been struggling to get to classes, and it's cold. There's ice everywhere. But as far as people close to me, nobody's been injured or anything, and nothing too bad has happened. So that's a blessing for sure.
I'm curious about the chemistry on the team, Tyler, in this day and age of college sports. We know there's a big turnover. You've got Tyler Nickel back from last year, Devin McLaughlin. You three are the guys that are sort of leading the way, but you got all these new guys that are blending. You guys seem to really enjoy playing with one another. How do you guys mesh so easily?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into that. First being the type of guys that Coach B and our assistants recruited, because it makes it a lot easier when you have a bunch of people who believe in the same things and treat each other the same way. Like, every person on our team is unselfish and cares more about the team than themselves. So that's a first step. And then from there, bonding activities. I mean, we went to Vegas this summer. We did some UFC stuff. We've done some bowling, some Topgolf, everything. So it's not a forced chemistry that we have. It's very natural. That comes from just us spending time around each other, and it's easier whenever you have that high caliber of guys on our team.
You've been in Nashville, in the area, long enough to remember when Vanderbilt athletics wasn't collectively doing as well with all the sports. What's it like on campus now, watching what the football team's doing, watching what the baseball team does, the women's team is doing so well? What's that feeling like when you're around each other?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I give a lot of credit to all the sports success on the student body because they're so supportive, and whenever teams are winning and there's a good energy about it, it makes students want to be around those games and come to those games and support and talk to the athletes and everything like that. So it's definitely been a change from before when, I mean, athletics was struggling at Vanderbilt. They were kind of the punching bag of the SEC is what some people say. So now being able to kind of flip that script and still be underdogs and keep that as a fueling factor for us. But it's been very fun for the buzz around campus and the support that we get from everybody.
All right, here's my last one, then I'll throw it back to the other guys here. The step back three last night. You got to tell us about that one. That was fun. It's always good when you catch a guy leaning back a little bit. He lost his balance and you nailed it. It kind of was a dagger at the beginning of that second half to sort of set the tone. So tell me about that move. How much do you practice some of these reps where you read the defense and the step backs there?
Yeah, a lot of those moves that I'm making in the game are just reading, how my defender reacts to a certain move. Like there was a couple moves in that sequence where I was just testing to see where my defender was going to jump, where his feet would be at, or where his body weight was shifted. But like I said, like so many reps in the gym. Me and my trainer Spencer Richardson, we always like to put myself in game situations so that when I get to the game, I have that confidence because I repped it out so many times. So we're not always working on specific moves. Sometimes it's just like you saw on that play, it's just kind of like put myself in a situation and make it work. So I give a lot of credit to him and the reps that we put in for that.
Tyler Tanner has been our guest on D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick. The Commodores are back in action this weekend at Ole Miss. Tyler, thank you so much for your time. Good luck this weekend against Ole Miss.
Thank you, guys. You have a good one.
You as well. 615-737-1025. That's what happens when you have two first names. Tyler Tanner. My bad. Tyler.
I've done it
Tyler,
too.
yes.
And there's 3 Tylers on the team, too. That also can get confusing.
Yes. I didn't see this, Gunner. I'm sorry, but Gunner texted in and said, tell Tanner this Kentucky fan is glad he didn't waste his time and money going up there to watch him and the boys put belt to ass on the Wildcats.
Can we just talk about the belly aching for the Kentucky fans on Twitter last night? There's all of these people going, we should never be this far behind Vanderbilt. Come on. It's like, dude, you act like Vanderbilt has never won anything. Like Memorial Gym has been a pretty good place. They've beaten Kentucky a lot over the years, not every year, but like to think that could never happen was crazy. Like the righteousness of the Kentucky fans. Just come on, man. Give him a little credit.
Derek actually has a thought on Kentucky, which we can get to on the other side. It was, by the way, Vanderbilt's biggest win against Kentucky since 2008. And Kentucky, by the way, has been incredibly unwelcome in Nashville. Remember, they got blown out by Gonzaga at Bridgestone Arena earlier this season. So playing in Nashville has not been fun for Kentucky. I guess we'll see what happens during the SEC tournament later this year. 615-737-1025. A quick Titans note before we get to break. Jordan Raynon, NFL Nation Giants reporter, posted this within the past 30 minutes. Quote, my understanding was as of this morning, offensive line coach Carmen Brasillo was expected to join Brian Daboll in Tennessee, others from Daboll's Giants offensive staff as well. And guess what? He's bald. Add another one. Carmen Brasillo, come on down. Bald is beautiful.
You're the next coach on
That's
Bald is
right.
right.
That is right. He's bald. We're going to keep track of the coaches based on whether or not they're bald. 615-737-1025. We'll get Derek's Kentucky thought because he mentioned it to me before the show. I also want to sneak in a quick Predators thought as well. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025. The Game. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. During the break, somebody texted in and said, hell, if the Titans win 8 or 9 games and look decent, I'll shave my head. I think we should do this as some sort of like charity something or other. We should just get all of you Titans fans with hair, and if the Titans do well, we'll shave it for you. How about that?
There we go. Let's do
It's
it.
like the Seattle Mariners back in the day with Jay Buhner. That's what they did. The ball guy that if you've shaved your head, you got into the game free on Jay Buhner Day.
Now, here's the thing. I actually would advise against me shaving anybody else's head because when I shave my own head, I mean, I've had some nasty gashes on the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to you the other day, Adam, but you severely injured yourself. I feel like you had a loss of blood that was very, very, very palpable.
I did look like a horror movie victim about a week ago in the mirror. Yes, with the blood that was dripping down my head.
Like Freddy Krueger nicked you a little bit.
Yes, it was bad. So maybe I won't be the one doing the shaving, but we are all for other people standing with us in solidarity. Again, the reason why we're talking about this, the Titans have apparently added yet another coach who's bald. So
woohoo!
Yes,
the Ball brothers.
Let's do it. So Willie, before the show, Derek brought up an interesting point about Kentucky. He'll mention it in just a moment. I want your thoughts on it. But you said the righteousness of Kentucky fans. And I don't quite have a good read on this Kentucky team. They came in to this game last night, winning 5 in a row? And
Five in a row.
And they were just blown out from the get-go. It was not even close. But you're right. Like, if I am ranking the college basketball fan bases, that as soon as that team loses a big game, I am rushing to social media to see what they have to say. You know what my number one is with a bullet? It's Carolina. But then Kentucky is probably number 2 on that list. I think I've mentioned this before. When Kentucky lost in the first round to Oakland in the tournament a few years ago, I think that was John Calipari's last game as coach of the Kentucky Wildcats. I turned on Kentucky Sports Radio and listened to it for like 4 hours. I fell asleep listening to Kentucky Sports Radio and Matt Jones, just Kentucky fans calling in and being sad and complaining and all of that. And I can say this because you know what? For a lot of you, I'm number 1 on your lists because, of course, I am a Duke fan. But, Derek, share your thought with Willie on Kentucky. I want his opinion on it.
Yeah, because, listen, whether, you were a Calipari fan or not, one thing he did was keep that program relevant. Now, with all of the talent that he had, he should have won more than one championship there. I think it was just one. But you knew year in and year out that he was going to recruit really well, and that team he was putting out on the floor had immense talent. And eventually they were going to figure it out. And when they did, man, oh man, it ended up in really good basketball. Obviously, for Kentucky fans, it did always, more times than not, it ended up not winning a national championship. But each year we went into it, Kentucky was one of the teams that everyone thought, okay, Elite Eight, definitely past Sweet 16, but Elite Eight. And some years they would get past, some years they would disappoint. But you never wondered, like, outside of can Calipari do it again? But you look at Mark Pope, and I'm just wondering, because, and we talk about this a lot with football, like the old guards. They're not the old guards anymore. The landscape has changed. The rules have changed. They invited everybody to the party now. Those old guards are not going to dominate like they used to. They'll still win, but they're not just going to be a pencil win team anymore. Now, you may have those teams that, you're going to put into the playoffs, but win a championship. There's only so few. I'm not sure if Kentucky may end up being, the college basketball version of, say, a blue blood that struggles now, to automatically be in that championship game because
you're demoting the Wildcats, basically.
But I'm asking even of Kentucky fans,
and we know you're listening.
Yeah, and we know you're listening,
Connor.
But has the days of us just automatically, Kentucky's going to be there. They're going to be in the SEC championship. I don't think Cal finished no worse outside of one season, no worse than what, 4th in the East. Majority they were 1st or 2nd. But I understand Kentucky fans, y'all wanted more, and I get it. But look at what he's doing at Arkansas. And I know Arkansas ain't the greatest team, but there's something special about that Arkansas team. They're a good team, athletic, everything that he had at Kentucky, he has it now in Arkansas. Will we consider Kentucky just a pencil-in team anymore?
Well, before Willie answers, let me just make sure I have your question right. Mm-hmm. You're wondering if we should demote Kentucky a little bit when we are talking about perennial national title contenders in college basketball, because Kentucky will forever be a quote-unquote blue blood. But I see your point. A lot of first-round exits, a lot of disappointment. This Kentucky team up and down and up and down. Correct me if I'm wrong, Willie, a $20 million roster this season. So I would love your answer to Derek's question.
Well, let's start with the premise of the, as you guys called it, the blue blood. But let's specifically talk about Kentucky. That from their perspective, their fans' perspective, everybody, and Mark Pope knows this very well, having played on a national championship team there. When your jersey says Kentucky, you think you're supposed to win the game. Every game that you play, wherever the game is. So That's where you're starting, expectation-wise. But contrast that with, as you pointed out, Derek, the changing landscape in college sports. It's not the same as it was 4 years ago. Even when Calipari was doing his thing, the game has changed a lot since then. And so, like you said, there's a lot more good teams out there. There's a lot more balance. And I don't care how much money you have. If you spend it smart, you can find 8 good players, right? And bring something to the table if you do it right. So it's not going to be as easy for Kentucky ever. And that was not acknowledged last night with their Twitter going, how is this happening against Vanderbilt? First of all, Vanderbilt has whipped them there in that building plenty of times over the years, not every year. But to act like it could never happen, especially now, the way college athletics is going, that's showing a little bit of cluelessness and arrogance that I don't think you're looking outside your own bubble a little bit. And look no further than Indiana. Indiana was a blue blood team. They've been struggling to find their identity and their place for years, not just because of NIL, but going back a long way. So it can happen to anybody. So 14-7, 5-3, that's where Kentucky is. It's not like that's bad, right? I'm curious where it goes here because you know who they play next? Arkansas, at Arkansas. So Cal gets a chance to bring them into Fayetteville. That'll be a fun one to watch on Saturday.
One texter says, I'm a Kentucky fan, and I'll tell you how bad it's gotten. Check out how many recruits we have coming in next year. 0. The only high school kids to commit to Mark Pope have been from Kentucky. So it is an interesting question, Derek, because just because, as Willie said, the name on the front of the jersey says Kentucky, you're always going to get those warm and fuzzies about Kentucky and their chances to win the national championship. But I think it's fair to downgrade the Wildcats a little bit.
Yeah, but you even, and we even talked about this. You look at what Carolina, their little lull they went into for a minute. And now they've come back and they're winning ball games. But for a minute there, Carolina was going through the same thing. And Carolina's considered a blue blood.
Yeah, I don't still see Carolina as a great team this year. They're good.
They're good, but they're not like what we remember them being.
Yeah.
Just like Kentucky.
It's not an unfair fight anymore. Like you said, there used to be programs that just got the first dibs of the best players. And that was a built-in advantage. They still have that. There's still that. There's still something about those programs, special fans, special tradition. And so they'll probably have an advantage, but it's not as big an advantage as it used to be.
Mo on her text line says, is there a chance that Robert Saleh can get Jim Schwartz? At least he's not bald. Well, have you seen this story out of Cleveland? Man. The Browns are set to hire Todd Monken as their next head coach. I'm not sure if it's official yet, but it was reported earlier today that Todd Monken is going to become the Browns' next head coach. Nobody apparently wanted that job. And Schwartz is so upset about being passed over that despite being under contract to the Browns, he does not plan to come back. So wow. I don't know what's going to happen there, but that look, Titans fans, we had this conversation a few weeks ago. We heard from some of you, oh, nobody wants the Titans job. It's the worst job. Look at the Browns. Look at the Browns. How many coaches pulled out of consideration for the Browns head coaching job? Did you see what
they had to do, like the interview process?
No, I did not see this.
Oh my good, writing essays, doing interviews.
What is this, an SAT?
It was outrageous considering, in the coaching world, they felt like, man, this is So a lot of people end up backing out because of the process they wanted you to go through. I mean, for a minute there, I thought Schwartz was going to be the guy too. But I guess he didn't fit sort of what they wanted from a head coach. But him coming here, I couldn't see it because he wants to call plays.
Yeah, and Robert Saleh is going to be calling the defensive plays. But Willie, if Jim Schwartz wants to shave his head, I mean, come on down. We're game for that.
I would be curious because just we know Jim Schwartz, I feel like has had residency here in Middle Tennessee for a good part of his life, might still have a place here. I don't know. Like, that'd be worth looking into to bring him in on some level. If he's willing.
One texter says,
hair or no hair.
Yes, one texter says, Titans committing to being a dome team with the bald hires. Hey-o. I get it. Nice. I get jokes. Let's go to our phone line driven by Wilson.
No problems with sunburn at Titans games.
No, not anymore. Let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com, and welcome in Buffalo. Buffalo, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Got our power turned back on up here at Tri-County Electric up here in Westmoreland. I just wanted to give a shout out to Tri-County Electric and all of the co-ops that came and showed up to help us get our power turned back on. Man, I can't tell you. It's been 132 hours with no electricity, 5.5 days.
Wow. Well, thank you for the call, Buffalo, and we agree. We agree. Thank you to everybody working hard to restore power in our region. Derek, you're still without power at home. Willie, last you checked, you're still without power at home. And I know a lot of you are still digging out of the snow/ice storm that came through our region last weekend. So big shout out to everybody working hard to get the city back up and running. It's been eerie driving home the last couple of days. So I live in East Nashville, and when I drive home, I take Briley Parkway. I get off.
You just get off.
I just get off the highway.
Yeah,
I get off the highway. I can't remember which one it is. I'm really bad.
Gallatin Road, Ellington?
Yeah, Gallatin. I don't know. I'm really bad with highways and stuff. It's just like, so do you take 440 or 40? I'm like, I don't know. I just know which way I have to pilot the car. Right, precisely. But
Waze tells me
that part of Gallatin Pike has been without power, and driving home at night, it's been so eerie with no lights on in the homes or businesses and no street lights. It's creepy out there, but
everybody just need to be safe. And there's a lot of water down because of the melted ice. I'm not sure how cold it will get tonight, but just be careful if you're driving out there, because that water, some of it is not even puddles. It's just water on the ground. That stuff can freeze up. And you're thinking you're okay because you drove over it during the daytime, and you coming back that same way, it may be black ice. So just be careful out there driving. And if you don't need to drive, don't drive. If you need to go visit somebody to get them out of the cold, please do that. But outside of that, stay home or stay in the hotel you're in.
We have some more Titans coaching news, courtesy of Mike Garafolo. The Titans are hiring Shea Tierney as quarterbacks coach, sources say. Tierney served in the same role on Brian Daboll's coaching staff.
Is he bald?
He is not bald. Damn. Working with Daniel Jones, Jackson Dart, Tommy DeVito, Russell Wilson, and more. Now, Tierney is tasked with getting the most of Cam Ward, but he's not bald. So I don't know how I feel about this.
Does he have a receding hairline?
I'm going to have to do some research.
Is he a future bald?
Yeah, is he a future bald? Yes.
We will accept future bald. Hold on. I found a picture. Would you consider this a receding hairline? Nope. Where is it? There it is.
Nah, he got a full set of hair.
Yeah.
Man, damn you.
No.
Get off this team.
I'm not as excited about it. I'm sure he's great. Is it Shea Tierney? I don't even know
I'm
what
sure
I just
he's a great
said.
coach. I'm sure he's pretty good. So
yes. So according to Mike Garafolo, the Titans are hiring Shea Tierney as quarterbacks coach. Tierney served in the same role on Brian Daboll's coaching staff in New York, and he's not bald. 615-737-1025. Speaking of people who aren't bald, Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us coming up next. We'll talk about the hiring of Brian Daboll and more with our friend Hutton. Coming up next, 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow, is with us as well. He joins us now as he does every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. And Hutton, I think, as a showing of solidarity, not only for us on the show, but for the Titans coaching staff, you need to shave your head.
I did. I buzzed the head back in like 4th grade, believe it or not. That's the last time I've been anywhere close to that. I'm sure I'll have my issues, but I don't know if I'm going to go bald. I'll go gray very fast, though. That's for sure.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question that we were talking about earlier in the program. Now that the hiring of Robert Saleh is official, as is the hiring of Brian Daboll as offensive coordinator, there's a long way to go this offseason. But what should Titans fans' level of confidence be in Mike Borgonzi based on the coaching hires he and the Titans were able to make?
I think the meter should be at the level of confident and belief that the leader of the football part of the team now has a clue. I mean, and experience matters. And Borgonzi he's surrounded by guys in the front office who are advisors, consultants, whatever the title is, that have been there and done the job. And now he's hired 3 experienced, proven play callers to lead the offense, defense, and special teams. Saleh's running the show. He's calling the defense. He's had massive success there. Same goes for Daboll. He's developed quarterbacks at several stops. Bones Fossil has produced huge results on special teams. So the first takeaway here of the hire by Borgonzi and leading this hire is not only is he hiring experience, he's also projecting a confidence that these coaches are buying into, specifically wanting to work with him and the Titans. Which, I mean, if we were discussing this job, guys, a month ago, I'm not putting this up there where you've got Saleh and Daboll specifically seeking out the job for the roles. I mean, honestly, Saleh was saying he was going to be very specific and picky about where he went. I'm eager to hear what he has to say tomorrow at the press conference because of that. And look, I think it's also the ability to bring in talent. I think that's another sign, a good sign, when you have the two coaches. One's second-time head coach, one's trying to be again, and they see a GM who appears to be able to draft okay so far, and an eye for talent that they buy into. And also buy into the philosophy of what they're going to do moving forward. And Cam Ward, too, by the way.
Is Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer a travesty of justice?
I think it's ridiculous.
Ask Derek how he feels about it.
I thought it was so stupid that Derek Jeter wasn't a first ballot unanimous Hall of Famer to Cooperstown. And that was just one vote. This is 11 people who were swayed one way or the other over Deflategate and over Spygate. And I mean, there are examples. Brett Favre is one of them. John McClain will tell you the story. Whoever's presenting Brett Favre stands up and says, "May I present Brett Favre?" and sits down, and they have a vote. It's a no-brainer if the dude's a Hall of Famer. And a first ballot one at that. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Fame coach, I don't know who is, and I don't know who will be. Regardless of whatever's going on, the whole thing is just, it's all messed up. Like no accountability for who's voting for which guy. It's messed up. And then to have Polian say he doesn't remember if he voted. Come on, man. The whole thing is just kind of crazy. And I literally did a triple take at it. I reread it and made sure I wasn't looking at a fake account when I saw the Schefter post, because it sounds so ridiculous. If you were to ask we all saw the reaction. I do wonder if they re-voted today, would Bill Belichick be a first ballot Hall of Famer based on the reaction? I don't know.
Well, I think the first mistake they made was putting he and Robert Kraft in the same voting class. I think that's where they went wrong first, because Robert Kraft, listen, for what it's worth, and I think he's paying for the atonement too of what Bill Belichick is paying for. And this is sort of my problem with this. I'm gonna be the contrarian here.
Okay.
Is that yes, Bill Belichick deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. No doubt. He deserves to be.
No doubt.
What's so wrong with waiting the next year? For this reason. When we talk about some of these other players, Lawrence Taylor, guys like that, it was things they did off the field. They were horrible. And that, you rebuked them for it. But when it came to voting, I think their thing was, well, that was off the field stuff. He didn't do that stuff on the field. So, okay, however you want to sort of slice it and make it fit what you want, then okay, that's fine. But he cheated the game so much so that there was the report that the NFL smashed the tapes. They got rid of them, everything. So that tells me that whatever they found was bad. And you were the head coach. So why not have to atone for those things when it comes to the one ultimate goal that you really want? Is to be a Hall of Famer. Why not say, you know what, because of that, because Napoleon, he wasn't the only guy that did it, supposedly. There were 10 other people. But why not say, one more year, we'll let you wait one more year. It's no big thing, but we're going to let you know you cheated the game, just like Pete Rose. And people were up in arms of Pete Rose, but MLB stood by until, obviously to the end.
Right.
And they let him in. But this is the same thing. It wasn't something he did off the field. You did this on the field. And those players, including me, we were pissed at the time.
But he was punished for what he did on the field, right? By the NFL.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that those that are voting.
What's a 1-year penance do? So is Robert Kraft? You mentioned Robert Kraft and him being in the same. Robert Kraft's the owner of the organization that did it. Is he going to be held accountable too and not get in?
No, I'm sure, because this is not his first. I don't think this is his first nomination. Meaning Kraft.
Well, that's the other problem, Mace, is they've got all these different windows now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The owners being voted on with the coaches and the players. That makes
I get it. I understand all that. I do.
But okay. For the record, Armando Salguero, who works with Outkick as the NFL reporter, he presented Bill Belichick, and he said he went into this. It was on Zoom. He said he went into this knowing that it was going to take a little bit more effort, because I had him on. Chad and I had him on today. I just asked him, I was like, "Did you not just stand up and say Bill Belichick? I present Bill Belichick to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's what we're going to do with Brady." And so I'm assuming that's what they're going to do with Brady. And guys, I look at it and think, you know what? I look back and I think, here's Bill Belichick, who's won all these titles prior to Spygate, and he's certainly had success after he was punished and the tapes were smashed. And Armando said he had to present it in a way that was arguing against Spygate, and he then countered it, and he still felt like he did a poor job because, of course, he didn't get in. Bill Belichick didn't get in. And he did talk to Belichick prior to the presentation. And Belichick told him, everything they said and everything the NFL said I did it. I was punished for it. And he admitted, he said, I did all those things they said I did. So it's not.
We don't know what he did because they smashed the tapes.
Well,
supposedly they got rid of everything.
The NFL knows what. Okay, so if we don't know, then how are they keeping him out for being a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Because it's not the actual NFL that's doing it. It's those that are voting. They're looking at it. Right. Their pittance is for us. The NFL did what they were going to do. It's okay. I put you where you're supposed to be. I gave you the fine, but now you got to deal with your daddy, because I got you. But now you got to deal with your father when he comes home. And now he's come home and he's trying to walk himself into the Hall of Fame, and he only has to wait a year. That's my big thing.
So, but see, if you're just saying, we're just going to make him wait a year.
Yeah, make him sweat it.
But he's really not sweating it, dude. I mean, everybody.
Oh, he's pissed that he's pissed.
He's pissed, but he's not sweating. I mean, everybody knows he's the GOAT. Like he's Bill Belichick, head coach. I mean, Mace, you would say
no. He deserves to be in. I don't want people to get me wrong. He deserves to be in.
I think it for what it was. Like, there are other instances where Sean Payton is going to go in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that not Bountygate?
I do. No. See, I put it. Hey, you did the game wrong. I played the game that you did wrong, and I played in the area that you did it wrong. So hell yeah, you're gonna wait a year. I don't care as a player, and I understand these other players. It's like, dude, y'all were the same guys that were complaining while we were complaining. Talk about New England, they need to have an asterisk by their name and all this other stuff. But now all of a sudden, it's like, well, let's forget about that stuff. Let's vote him in. Let's act like it didn't happen.
The punishment instead of he's got 6 Super Bowl trophies.
We don't know.
That's still a part of his bio.
No, you're right. They're never going to be able to take that away from him. What I'm saying is this.
And that's why he's going to get in.
And you're right. But what I'm saying is this. I don't know why this is like blasphemy to say, hey, this guy, he cheated the game. You cheated and we don't know how long that went. We don't know how long that was going on.
And the game kept him in the game.
Hey, but you're right. And the game kept him in. But those that have the duty or the obligation or the honor to vote those in to the Hall of Fame.
So
some of them are saying like 79% are saying yes, and the rest are saying no, which he can't get in.
So if it's so admirable for these guys not to vote for him, where the hell are they?
I don't know. You're right.
That's what I want to hear. Yeah, I want to hear them say, "Yeah, I did it, and this is why I did it."
Because if they do
that, I'll have a lot more respect for the process.
That's right. That's right. And look, I mean, it's kind of like it's just the NFL punished Belichick. They fined Kraft. They did all these things, and he goes on to have more success. And it really hasn't been a topic until these guys want to make it a topic. And Polian, come on, to first say you voted for him, you wanted him in, then you say you don't remember.
You know why that is? Where did Polian? Where was he a GM?
Well, at Indy.
Okay, of course, absolutely. But because of those teams and what they did
was directly at the Colts.
Exactly. So it's like there should be like, dude, you cheated the game.
So, okay, but at the same time, is what is that influence in terms of what it's about the accolades and we can go through Hall of Fame to Hall of Famer and look at what certain guys have done or been accused of doing or whatever. Guys that who knows what they've done, Mace, on the field or off the field.
No, you're right.
But it's not supposed to be about that. I mean, again, we can name names. We don't have to here. It's easy to find those guys, but like you're saying, it's off the field, so it's no big deal.
No, I'm not saying it's no big deal. Yeah, I'm not saying it's no big deal.
The game to this level, and it's not Pete Rose, because Pete Rose is never was kept out.
No, it's you know why
he's not allowed to be a part of the game. Meanwhile, the NFL just said, we're going to suspend you, we're going to do this and that, we're going to fine you, and we move on. We destroy the tape so no one else can see it, and we move on. It just kind of is what it is at that point. He's already served the punishment. I don't know where all
this
of a
is like
sudden
probation.
It's a Bill Polian now.
This is like probation. This is the second punishment, man. You know that. This is the second punishment for all those writers. All those writers that were peeved. That were peeved that it happened.
I want Polian to own it.
And he
has to own it.
But say this is what I did, and
here's the other thing.
I ordered the code red because he cheated the game.
It's all
but there's nothing wrong with that. If stand by it, if you feel that way, he votes.
I would also say, like, the response to this, whenever it's like he's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, then we all agree the accolades are there for that. Like, so if he's not, who is?
Somebody that
did all that he did and didn't cheat the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious why they did.
We have
just
seen
Andy Reid.
Just admit it. Just admit it that's why you voted that way.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's common sense.
Well, okay. Real quick, this is another problem. The Hall doesn't want them revealing who they voted for or how they voted, which is ridiculous. So, like, McClain and Armando came on the show. They have to like beat around the bush, but they make it known. I mean, of course, Armando voted for him. He presented him.
Yeah.
So you have Schefter breaking this news, and then it makes the Hall of Fame selector process look really foolish. And everyone
people didn't know that. People didn't already know that.
What's that?
People didn't already know that this may be flawed, like the voting process is flawed?
Not to. Well, flawed in terms of the argument for Eli Manning or Phillip Rivers, but not the guy who has 6 Super Bowl trophies.
But Terrell Owens, you look at Terrell Owens, he is a no doubt first ballot guy, and he had to wait. Why?
Totally agree.
Because of things he did off the field or things they perceived he did in the locker room. So if it was good for the goose, then it's good for the other goose, which is geese.
But okay, okay, that's fair. But so who is getting in? Who is getting in the year that T.O. didn't get in?
I can't remember.
At wide receiver,
Yeah,
I guarantee you, there's another wide receiver.
I'm sure. Yeah, you're right. I'm sure it was.
And in this case, it's not coach versus player. Like this is a separate category.
No, but it's Robert Kraft versus.
But Kraft hasn't
Bill
been
Belichick.
presented yet. See, Kraft hasn't been presented yet, to my knowledge. This is like a different pool. Again, it's so stupid.
So Kraft wasn't a part of that pool.
Not this.
But as I understand it, guys, they had a ballot of this is the special strand of how you get into the Hall of Fame. They had 5 names. They had Kraft, Belichick, L.C. Greenwood, Kenny Anderson, and Roger Craig. So you had 5 completely different people: a coach, an owner, a quarterback, a running back, and a defensive lineman. And you could only vote for 3 of the 5.
It's like a. But one of them is a coach. It's like a coach category.
I know. So why are those 5 people on the same ballot? They're completely different.
They have like a modern era, and then they have the other era, right?
Right.
And they have a committee that then presents that to the hall. It's like the voters, like a committee that comes up with that group. Then you vote it down, and then you have the contributor thing. Again, it's very. The process is going to change. I can tell you that.
We do actually have. Sorry to interrupt, Hutton. We actually do have a statement from the Pro Football Hall of Fame
Here we go.
on everything that's been going on. And I quote, "The Pro Football Hall of Fame understands and respects the passionate reaction of many fans, media members, and enshrinees of the hall itself in light of published reports regarding the voting results for the class of 2026. It's that very passion that propels the game. The hall also respects the members of the selection committee when they follow the selection process bylaws. It is an honor to serve as a selector. Each year, the hall reviews the selection process and the composition of the 50-person selection committee. If it is determined that any member or members violated the selection process bylaws, they understand action will be taken. That could include the possibility that such selector or selectors would not remain a member of the committee moving forward. The selection of a new class is the most important duty the Hall of Fame oversees each year, and the integrity of that process cannot be in question."
Damn it!
What are they going to do? Replace these guys with social media influencers who are going to vote? Like these guys have been covering the league for 5 decades. If they all came together and revealed who they voted for, they're not going to be allowed to then select the Pro Football Hall of Fame members for the next year. They're going to go get Jordan Hudson and some of these other guys that are out there.
I mean, Jordan Hudson may have played a role in Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
There were some wisecracks to that effect in all circles, I'm sure.
I did ask the question. I wonder if Belichick would have had Jordan Hudson present him.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But listen,
I want to know her reaction too. That'd be great.
Everybody understands that Bill Belichick will get in. But again, it's like anything else. You, for whatever reason, you choose to hold a guy out. And I know that being a first ballot guy means a lot to these coaches, especially someone like Bill Belichick. And because you now want to, hey, listen, we're not saying you can't get in, but hey, listen, what you did to the game, you compromised the game and put the game in a bad position. So yes, you should wait a year. Not to say that you're going to get in, but you should wait a year. Listen, you should be like, okay, I get it. I understand. But again, it's I deserve, so I should be in. Instead of looking at it from the standpoint of, yeah, you're right. I did admit that I did those things and probably even worse. So if they want to hold me out, I get it. I probably would have did the same thing. That's how I would have approached that. Like, okay, I get it. You going to let me in the next year? Okay, let's go with that. But waiting a year, come on, man. That to me, that rings like arrogance and just
it's message,
eliteness.
It's
like I need, I should be there. Like no doubt, yeah, you should be there. But don't you know you cheated the game as well?
Well, but okay, if it sends a message, what message is it sending when the majority of anyone's chiming in on the vast majority, including the players from your era, Mason? And I respect where you're coming from, but you've got quarterbacks and Hall of Famers in general that are saying that this is stupid.
Because listen, those same people, I guarantee you, especially the ones that played in my era, they were bitching and moaning about the New England Patriots, and they should have asterisks and everything. And now they want to sit in their pockets and, oh, Bill Belichick, like you get on television or something like that so you don't ruffle their feathers. You can go in and say, hey, listen, he did wrong. He's still a great coach, and if he has to wait a year, so be it. I'm cool with that, but I'm not going to make a big uproar. And I think that's what some of these players are doing, knowing damn well that they were, like me, pissed off that New England was doing those things.
Well, I don't know if it's players in general, 11 of them. Like these are like,
no, I don't know if they're players or not.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be players from the era. It's guys that cover the league, and where's the coverage of Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft and everybody, I mean, we're not going to see that. I was reading where the presentation for Kraft was something like he didn't know about this, about the Spygate stuff. It's like, okay, like Belichick owned up to it, and then he took his punishment. And Kraft was also fined as much as you can find an owner.
Can we also can we just ask a question too? Why are owners going into the Hall of Fame? Do we really need owners in the Hall of Fame?
Because the owners want to be in the Hall of Fame, Will. That's why.
Yes.
Why?
It's nothing because to show that they're in the Hall of Fame.
Ralph Wilson.
Let's have the owners Hall of Fame.
Ralph
the
Wilson's
Pro
in the Hall
Football
of Fame.
Hall of Fame doesn't need owners. We don't need owners in the Hall of Fame.
Among other things. But I totally agree.
Nobody came to a football game to see an owner.
Totally agree. But but based on it, like if Ralph Wilson's in, Bud Adams should be in, we can go down this path. But in general, the owners want to be in the Hall of Fame. They want they want to be remembered in history, and they want to do it while they're alive. And they also control all of the media contracts, especially Robert Kraft. That's why no one can make fun of him at the Brady roast, because Netflix wants the big contracts, and Kraft runs that committee. I mean that's part of it too. It's the political game of it, and everyone was ripping on Belichick. He had no power there at that roast, other than Brady and Kraft.
Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow has been our guest on D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick. He joins us every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Hutton, great stuff as always. We'll catch up next week.
Willie, thank you guys. Willie, is it colder there or here currently? Wherever you are. I don't know where you are.
It's pretty close. I'm in Jersey City,
New
Jersey. I'm looking across the river to the new World Trade Center, but it's cold here, but I think it's close. It's comparable. 20s, teens, a lot of snow on the ground here. No ice. A lot of snowbanks.
I was going to try to walk down to the game on Saturday, but I didn't catch the puck drop in time on the move up, so it would have been fun.
Hutton,
it was hockey weather.
Yes,
stay
warm.
Hockey weather.
Stay safe. We'll talk next week.
Appreciate it.
615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction on Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer, a story that has swept the sports world today. We will also get back in to Brian Daboll being hired as Titans offensive coordinator. We'll also talk about the Predators' overtime loss last night to the Boston Bruins. It's all on the table. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
Hey, lower mortgage rates are back, and so it's time for Loan Pronto to make sure that you know that they are delivering fixed-rate mortgages with APRs as low as 4.89%. That's the lowest in years. So if you're in a 6% loan or more, you could drop your payment big time with a refi. And if you haven't been familiar with that, maybe you're a newer homeowner and you're like, I don't know what the rate is. It's whatever I got it. Well, you need to look at this because you can save money every month if you lower that mortgage rate. And chances are, in the last few years, if that's when you last refied or got a mortgage rate, Loan Pronto might be able to improve this a lot. So call them right now and find out. 499-5780 or visit loanpronto.com. Get the free instant home appraisal, no hard credit pull, and you'll be on your way. You can close in as little as 2 weeks, maybe even skip the next 2 house payments. So Loan Pronto is the place to go. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. See how much money you can save. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, APR for well-qualified buyers, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
I think the thing that I like about this, and that would give me some encouragement if I'm a Titans fan, is not only has he coached a number of different young quarterbacks, he's completely altered his offense to fit the skills of each of them, right? Going back to Buffalo, we talk a lot about Josh Allen's development, but y'all remember that offense, that was all gas, the 10 personnel, throwing a lot, getting him to become a more disciplined quarterback in that process as well. And then, of course, the QB run element. Then in New York, Daniel Jones's best season, although to this, he also had a great season, obviously, in Indianapolis, but to that point, wildly different. The boots, the design quarterback runs, lots of zone reads. That offense did not throw down the field at a high rate. He wanted Daniel Jones to protect the football and to compensate for the offensive line. And then to Jackson Dart, some differences as well. There's through lines. You'll see a lot of RPOs, I think, and I imagine that'll continue with Cam Ward, some college principles as well. But I think just for me, that flexibility from quarterback to quarterback is what is most appealing, because you don't want a coach to come in with this young quarterback and say, this is my offense. You're going to have to play this way. He's going to have to tailor it to the skills of Cam Ward.
That was Mina Kimes breaking down the Titans hiring of Brian Daboll and his fit with Cam Ward. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vinkin here with you. Somebody asked on the text line if the Titans have a news conference scheduled for Brian Daboll. I don't believe they do. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if at some point Daboll does a news conference. Robert Saleh's introductory news conference is scheduled for tomorrow, I believe, at 2 p.m. Central. So we will have that to react to tomorrow on a 2-hour edition of DVD ahead of the Predators game against the New Jersey Devils. But Derek, Daboll runs what is known as the Earhart-Perkins system. I believe that's what it's called, which he learned during his multiple stints with the Patriots. Explain for us what that is and if it's at all different from what the Titans ran under the previous coaching staff.
Based upon, my knowledge of this offense, it's that it's adaptable. I've always said, and players understand this too, that the coach's job is to put you in the best position possible. Tell me what this guy can do, and we're going to find a way to do that so that we operate more in his strength rather than his weakness. I'm not going to take a team that I know isn't physical, or I'm not going to take a team that I know isn't good at throwing the football but want to throw it 100 million times. No, we're a great run team, so let's lean in on running the football more, and hopefully that will open up the passing game. And that's the way it was done back in the days, and it's still done to this day. But it's adaptable to his personnel and what he has, because if you look at his quarterbacks, and again, we went over these names, whether it was Tua, Jalen, Josh, Daniels, who else? Jackson Dart. 5 guys that are they're similar, they're different in stature. They're similar in some ways, but then they're different in a lot of other ways. And he found a way to get this offense. But they all sort of had that RPO sort of in them, but there were other things that whether it was Josh Allen and using his big arm and pushing the ball down the field, or some of these other, Daniels, where a lot of his passes probably were intermediate to short, because that fit Daniels better than being a push it down the field more type of person. I would tend to believe that Cam will be in the mix between the two. Not so much RPO.
You mean Daniel Jones there?
Yeah,
right?
Daniel Jones. I was talking about Daniel Jones. Yeah. Maybe Cam is more so pushing the ball, because that's what Cam started, but also being able to incorporate, this RPO into what Cam can run, but not being as heavy as he was with Jackson Dart, or not being as heavy as he was with Josh Allen or maybe Jalen Hurts and Tua in college. So I think this system will be adaptable. They got to have a power running game. So it's going to be interesting who they go get if they keep Pollard, because Pollard to me is a power back. He doesn't need to be carrying the ball. He don't need to take on the load, but he can split time. So if they don't keep Pollard, maybe they go for a more powerful, diverse back in a sense, because that is going to feed in what they want to do from a play action standpoint.
Willie, which questions do you hope Robert Saleh is asked tomorrow at his news conference? What do you want to know most tomorrow?
I don't know if there's anything specific. I think I would like to hear him discuss why he really gravitated towards the Titans. What did he see in this organization? And, he's probably not going to be, maybe he will be, but I'd love honesty in that, right? He can wax poetic and say, this is great, everything's great. But I would like to say, to hear in detail, maybe what he first thought from afar, but, why was he drawn to it? I feel like Robert Saleh would have had his pick of more than one job as a head coach. Do we agree with that? Do you think he would have been offered a
Yes.
job by
Yes.
another team
Mhm.
if he turned the Titans down or waited it out, maybe gone to
think so.
Arizona.
I think so.
I'm trying to think of which other teams he interviewed with. As you mentioned, Willie, he was supposed to interview once again with the Arizona Cardinals, but took this job right before he did that. I can't, did he interview for the Ravens job? I'm pretty sure he
Mm,
did.
I'm not sure with that one.
I don't think Daboll ever interviewed with the Ravens.
Or are you talking about Salah?
I meant
Oh, Saleh, yes.
Saleh.
Saleh, yes.
Saleh interviewed with the Ravens. I believe he also received interview requests with the Dolphins and maybe the Falcons. So I'll have to fact check that. But I agree. Robert Saleh, Derek, you said earlier, if John Harbaugh hadn't entered the fray, that Robert Saleh may have been at the top of the wish list for a lot of teams when all of this process started. One texter says, have you guys heard? Brian Daboll's middle name is Mike. The Mike saga continues. Sort of. It's not his first name, Mike Vrabel, Mike Munchak, Mike Malarkey. I mean, it's good to have a Mike, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm more focused on the fact that he's also bald. We've been talking about that. We are standing in solidarity with the Titans coaching staff. We are all about the baldness
Bald
on
folks.
this program. I'm disappointed they hired a quarterbacks coach who is not bald. He's probably really good at his job,
They had a good track record,
but
going,
he's
and then
not
they
bald.
hired somebody with hair.
So I'm skeptical. And if he doesn't do well, I'm going to say, well, it's because he wasn't bald. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans again. Robert Saleh's introductory news conference is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon, I believe, at 2 p.m. We will have full reaction to that once we get on the air at 3 p.m. 615-737-1025. Willie Donnie, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
And between you and me, my hair is thinning a bit.
Oh, Your Highness, I'm sure it's not that noticeable. Bald!
We are all bald on the program, but we are happy that the Titans coaching staff is predominantly bald. One texter says, being bald myself, I might become a Titans fan. I think you should just become bald to become bald. Yeah, it's a great,
might as well.
It's a great life. Let me tell you how much money I've saved over the past few years not going to a barber to get my hair cut. Now, I've cut the living crap out of my head more times than I can count, but it's free. So
I guess so.
So there is that. We will have a shortened program tomorrow from 3 to 5. The Predators play yet another game on this East Coast road trip against the New Jersey Devils. So we will be on from 3 to 5. Elliot Freeman, Sportsnet NHL Insider, will join us during the program tomorrow. Willie, big news in the NHL. Artemi Panarin being held out of the Rangers lineup tonight for roster-related reasons. So perhaps a trade could be on the horizon for the number one target for NHL teams at the deadline.
Ooh, where do we think? Somewhere in the West?
My guess is Washington. That's my guess. I don't know why.
Wow.
That's my guess. I would love him in Detroit. I think he would be a great fit in Detroit. But I am going to guess Washington. So Artemi Panarin being held out of the lineup for the Rangers tonight. He is the number one player on all of the trade deadline big boards. There are Predators players on those big boards as well. And the Predators fell once again last night. Despite rallying from 2-0 down to force overtime, the Predators lost 3-2 in overtime to the Bruins. The Predators did not touch the puck in overtime. David Pastrnak scored the overtime winner 15 seconds into the extra period. The Predators, Willie, now 1-3-1 in their past 5 games, and that one win against the Senators required a comeback from 3-0 down. So we've been talking about this great run the Predators have been on to get back into the playoff race. But part of me is wondering, Willie, if reality might be setting in a little bit.
I think they played some very difficult teams in there. I think that's part of the 1-3-1. I thought they played well enough to win last night. I didn't think the Bruins had their A game. But the Bruins are playing as well as anybody in the league right now. They're 9-1-1 in their last 11. They've won 8 straight at home. So if you look at who the Predators have played during this month, they played 6 of the best 10 teams in terms of the hottest 10 teams in the league. They've played 6 of the 10. So this has been a difficult part of the schedule for the Predators, yet they've held their own. So I think it just puts more importance on the 5 games that they've got left before the break, if they're going to continue to be considered with the in the hunt group. And I think we all know as the backdrop, and you can tell every time we have Barry Trotz on, which we did yesterday, that he still knows the probability. The probability is that the Predators are probably not one of the best 8 teams in the West. And so the chances are when they get to March 6th, they're going to be in a position to be sellers. If they go against the odds, which is part of sports, and they play really well between now and March 6th, then he's got tough decisions to make. And so that's why I think I like what he keeps saying week in and week out, Adam, and that is my mindset hasn't really changed. They're not in the playoffs now, and so I'm proceeding accordingly. But at the same time, he's not doing anything to sabotage what they're trying to do. And you can tell in that locker room that they're still pushing. They believe they can make it. Everything that you hear from Ryan O'Reilly and Steven Stamkos, they want to stay and they want to win in Nashville. And I salute them for that.
Yes, as you mentioned, Barry Trotz has remained consistent in every interview we've had with him this season, even when things started heading in a more positive direction with the team. He had the same sentiment as he did when things were looking incredibly bleak. I mean, I asked him yesterday if it was safe to assume that Ryan O'Reilly would not be traded before the deadline because of how highly he speaks of Ryan O'Reilly and how important O'Reilly is to this team. And he said, no, everything is on the table. And I think that's the right way to go about it. Again, the Predators have, if I recall off the top of my head, 10 games left before the NHL trade deadline. They have 2 or 3 games left before the Olympic roster freeze. So players can't be traded basically the entire month of February when the NHL takes a pause for the Olympics. But it will be, Willie, incredibly fascinating to see what Trotz decides to do. I mean, I was thinking about this last night, watching the Bruins. You've talked about how well the Bruins have been playing. The Bruins are in a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. This time last year, the Bruins were prepared to sell off everybody, and they sold off a ton of high-profile players. First and foremost, Brad Marchand. Brandon Carlo was traded. Charlie Coyle was traded. They sold hard. And 1 year later, they are in the playoff mix in the Eastern Conference. So I was thinking about that last night as I was watching the game.
I do think that that's a very good point. Is the Bruins have played this pretty well. The Bruins are not a team that have gone through a long rebuild, right? They have not, at least that I can remember, since the Predators have been in the league, gone through a 5 to 7 to 10 year rebuilding process. Because as we've defined, if you're going to go into the rebuild, that's a lot of times what the time frame is, 5 to 10 years, and no guarantees. The Bruins really haven't done that. They've done a good job of retooling a couple times and then finding a way to come back. And they usually don't pick really high in the draft. So they're to be commended, I think, with how they've retooled. And so I do think that is a noteworthy path.
The Predators are back in action tomorrow night in Newark against the New Jersey Devils. Puck drop at 6, pregame at 5, right here on 102.5 The Game. Derek, what are you going to do with your staycation this evening?
Man, oh man, the same thing I've been doing.
Buying all the fancy chocolate?
No, I don't even want to buy it. You know what? It's just now I just want to get home.
Yes, I'm sure.
And, I think everybody in that, where I'm at, they just want to get home. You see people coming in and out with suitcases, leaving with suitcases. But I think people just want to be home, man.
How about some room service?
Room service, man, you know what? I never understood, like, when you go on vacation or you just go to a hotel, and I gotta be quickly with this, you don't understand how much they have to really do to keep everything going and working in an orderly fashion. Just imagine that times, 2, because of the influx of people, because of the weather, and you are one of few places that has power. So and it's not just people, because people usually don't travel with their pets if they're going on vacation. Some do, but majority of us don't. But just imagine now you gotta travel with your pets.
Yeah,
man, I'm sure they need to be commended.
I am a huge fan of room service, by the way. I have a funny story. So several years ago, when I was still traveling covering the Predators were playing a road game in Las Vegas against the Golden Knights, and I brought my wife with me, and I went to go cover the game, and she stayed at the hotel and ordered room service. So she put on one of the big comfy robes in the hotel room, right, and ordered room service. The person comes to the door, she's in the robe, and he says, like, "Oh, you getting ready for a big night out?" And she was like, "Nope. This is my night."
Hey, it was her big night. Her and her
room
husband.
service spaghetti. No, I was at work.
Oh,
She
you
was
were at
by
work.
herself
Okay.
in the hotel room.
Okay.
So,
well, hey.
Yes. Room service, Willie.
She has spaghetti?
I'm a fan of room service. Yes, room service spaghetti.
I've never had room service spaghetti. Have you, Willie?
No, I have not just gotten the speed. The room service is a change of pace for me, but it is, when the situation calls for it, it is a great thing. When you just make the decision and then you're like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm not going anywhere. I am vegging right here. Then that's a good frame of mind to be in. You have nothing to do.
You know what the best is, though? Room service is when you're with your kids and when they're little and they get to order their stuff, and when it comes, it's like a big spread to them. They love it. They get to sit there and they think they're grown. So that's the part that I love. I don't have it anymore, but that's the part that I did love about room service.
It's dangerous ordering food in bed. I don't care if you're at a hotel or at your own home on Uber Eats or something. It's dangerous to order food from bed because you just never know your limitations. You
No.
never know your limitations.
It was one instance with the kids. The kids and I went on vacation at the hotel. And this is how, like, kids really don't understand, but they love service, like room service. And they had the place we were staying, they had these chocolate chip cookies that they made, and they were the best. And at the end of our stay, my son had ordered over $200 worth of cookies.
What?
Chocolate chip. Now, I ate some myself.
Yeah.
$200 worth of cookies?
Yes, we were there for a while. He would have them by the pool. He would have them at dinner. He would have them room service. And that was like, he loves them. So, but yeah, it was $200 worth of chocolate chip cookies.
Oh my God.
And he loved them.
Willie,
but that's the part I love.
Willie,
You
what
know?
is the?
I hope those were some really good.
They were good.
They
Those
had to be
chocolate
the
chip
best
cookies were good.
They had to be the best chocolate chip cookies ever.
Willie,
for $200.
what is the biggest purchase your children have made without your knowledge that you had to find out about?
Oh,
Food or otherwise?
Good question. I don't think they've been guilty of anything like that, of ordering something. They will pile up the little ones. Like Mahoney loves to rent the movies, and he'll rent it on the old man's account on whatever, Amazon Prime or whatever. You know, they just a little $5.99 here, $4.99 over here, $3.99.
It adds up.
But
it does add up.
Mind you,
Yeah.
we were there for a week, so I don't want people to think that, oh, he only had like 5 cookies.
I mean,
No,
$200
we were there for
worth
a
of
week.
cookies over the course of a week is still a
Yes.
ridiculous amount of money.
You got to
spend on cookies.
imagine.
Were they big?
They were pretty nice sized cookies.
Okay,
Yeah, they
not
were
like-
nice size. But he was like, what? DJ was 8
I mean,
8 years old. And
that
he
makes
just- he
sense.
ran-
for an
and I
8-year-old.
was just like, you know what? I like the cookies too. So
I mean, as long as you're happy, Derek, it
Yeah.
was your money.
I
After
love
all.
I love chocolate chip cookies too. I do.
That'll
I
do
do.
it. That'll do
Everybody loves chocolate
Yeah.
chip cookies.
Even the bald guys.
And being bald, damn right. That'll do it for us today. We'll be back here at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Robert Sala's introductory news conference scheduled for 2 p.m., I believe. I hope I'm right about that. We come on the air at 3. We will react to what we heard from the Titans' new head coach. Elliot Freeman, Sportsnet NHL Insider, will join us as well. A lot happening in the NHL trade-wise. We'll talk about it with him. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay warm, be neighborly. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3.
Be loved, love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful day. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music? Don't you forget about us, because we will definitely not forget about you. We are an abbreviated show tomorrow, 2 hours leading into the Preds game. So peace, and I love you.